Picture this. It's 1992. You're standing in Blockbuster, clutching your allowance, staring at Bart Simpson's face on a Super Nintendo cartridge. You think you're about to experience Springfield magic. Instead, you're about to witness one of gaming's most bizarre experiments, where beloved characters were thrown into fever dreams, puzzle mazes, and virtual reality nightmares that made absolutely no sense. What you didn't know was that some of these games weren't even supposed to be Simpsons games at all. The early 90s were the Wild West of licensed gaming. Slap a popular cartoon character on literally anything, and kids would beg their parents to buy it. But the Simpsons SNES library? This wasn't just lazy cash grabbing. This was something far stranger. Subscribe to Cinema Remembered, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see these childhood classics. See, while other franchises got straightforward platformers, The Simpsons got something else entirely. 4 games that felt like they were designed by people who had never actually watched the show, created during production nightmares so intense that one developer literally quit the entire video game industry. Let's start with the most shocking revelation. The best Simpsons game on SNES was never supposed to be a Simpsons game. Krusty's Super Fun House began life as Rat Trap, a British puzzle game about herding rodents through mazes. When Acclaim desperately needed Simpsons content, they looked at this completed rat game and thought, close enough. They slapped Krusty's face on the purple-haired protagonist, gave the rats Simpsons-style overbites, and called it a day. Did you ever notice how disconnected Krusty feels from the actual gameplay? That's because he literally was. This was gaming's equivalent of dubbing over a foreign film, except somehow it worked. The irony? This accidental Simpsons game became the most playable of the entire SNES collection. While other developers struggled to capture Springfield's essence, Audiogenic, a company known for cricket simulations, accidentally created something genuinely fun by not trying to be a Simpsons game at all. But here's where it gets fascinating. The game's 60 levels reveal a deeper truth about licensed gaming. When you're not constrained by source material expectations, creativity flourishes. Each world features different Simpson characters operating rat extermination machines with disturbing enthusiasm. It's darker than anything the show would ever do, yet somehow more authentic than the official adaptations. Then came Bart's Nightmare, and this is where things get genuinely weird. Picture this. Bill Williams at Sculptured Software is tasked with creating a Simpsons game. The production becomes so nightmarish that Williams eventually leaves the video game industry entirely. Matt Groening himself gets involved in micromanaging details so granular that he demands Bart's eye color be changed because they're too yellow. Most fans missed this completely. Bart's Nightmare wasn't just poorly made, it was a creative battlefield. The game's chaotic structure reflects the chaos behind the scenes. You've got Windy World, where Bart stumbles through a fever dream of Springfield obstacles. Lisa randomly appears to turn you into a frog. Principal Skinner forces you into a school uniform that slows you down. Jimbo's gang literally drags you around against your will. But here's the brilliant part, hidden in the madness. Each homework page leads to a completely different genre. Bartman becomes a slow-paced shooter. The Temple of Maggie transforms into Indiana Jones. Bartzilla stomps through Springfield as Godzilla. It's like 5 different games crammed into one cartridge, which explains why none of them feel finished. The Bloodstream level where Bart shrinks down and explodes germs, Dig Dug style? That wasn't random weirdness. That was desperation. When you're making 5 games simultaneously, you grab whatever mechanics work and hope for the best. 2 years later, Sculptured Software doubled down on chaos with Virtual Bart. This time, they removed even the pretense of structure. No hub world, just a spinning roulette wheel randomly selecting your next nightmare. It was 1994, peak virtual reality hype, and everyone wanted to cash in on the VR craze. But here's what's genuinely disturbing. Virtual Bart feels like a psychological experiment. Baby Bart has you escaping your crib through impossible acrobatics. Pig Bart forces you to navigate a maze-like slaughterhouse. Doomsday. Bart drops you into a post-apocalyptic Springfield where you kick enemies road rash style. Did you ever notice how these scenarios have nothing to do with The Simpsons? That's because they don't. Virtual Bart reads like a fever dream of childhood anxieties wrapped in familiar character skins. The random difficulty spikes weren't bugs. They were features designed to keep you pumping quarters into an arcade machine that didn't exist. The Mount Splashmore water slide level perfectly captures this insanity. You're careening through forks in the slide, making split-second decisions with barely any control. Take the wrong path, and you're ejected into nothingness. It's not fun, it's anxiety-inducing. Which might have been the point. Finally, we reach the ultimate contradiction, the Itchy and Scratchy Game. Here's the setup. Take the most violent, fast-paced cartoon within The Simpsons, a show that satirized Saturday morning cartoon violence, and turn it into a slow, methodical platformer with no violence whatsoever. Bits, studio somehow managed to drain every ounce of energy from Itchy and Scratchy's manic cartoon mayhem. You play as Itchy, chasing Scratchy around static levels, swinging weapons that feel like pool noodles. The Genesis version was supposed to be more violent, but it never got released. Even if it had, the fundamental problem remained. They turned lightning into molasses. Most fans missed this completely. The Itchy and Scratchy Game represents everything wrong with 90s licensed gaming. Instead of understanding what made the source material work, the breakneck pace, the over-the-top violence, the satirical edge, they created a generic platformer and slapped familiar faces on it. The real tragedy? This came out in 1995, during The Simpsons' Golden Age. Season 6 was airing, some of the best television ever created. And this was the gaming representation we got. Here's what nobody talks about. These games reveal the fundamental disconnect between television and interactive media in the early 90s. The Simpsons worked because of its writing, its timing, its satirical edge. But video games in 1992 couldn't capture writing or timing. They could only capture mechanics and visuals. So, developers did what they could. They created mechanical interpretations of visual elements and hoped the magic would transfer. It didn't, but something fascinating happened instead. These games became time capsules of an industry learning how to adapt beloved properties. Every weird design decision, every bizarre minigame, every inexplicable genre shift represents developers grappling with an impossible question. How do you make The Simpsons interactive? The answer, as Krusty's Super Fun House accidentally proved, was simple. You don't. You make a good game first, then worry about the license. Today, these games feel like artifacts from an alternate dimension, a world where The Simpsons was a surreal nightmare, instead of satirical comedy. But they're also something more. They're honest. Unlike modern licensed games that focus test every element to death, these SNES titles wear their confusion on their sleeves. They're products of their time rushed, weird, often broken, but never boring. Did you ever notice how these games feel more like experimental art than commercial products? That's because, in many ways, they were. Developers were experimenting with what licensed gaming could be, throwing everything at the wall to see what stuck. Most of it didn't stick. But the attempt was fascinating. These weren't just bad games. They were ambitious failures that pushed boundaries in ways we're still discovering today. What's your favorite bizarre fact from this deep dive? Drop it in the comments below. I will read every single one. And if this journey through gaming's strangest licensed experiments hit you right in the nostalgia, subscribe and share this with someone who survived the 90s gaming wars. Trust me, they'll thank you for the memories.